They thought waking her was the happy ending. Turns out, it was the curse. She opened her eyes, a sweet, innocent smile gracing her lips for the prince hovering above, but inside a different thought, cold and sharp as a shard of ice, was already taking root. Oh, I will make her regret she ever let me wake up. That smile, gentle, doe-eyed, fragile, was a performance worthy of sainthood. The kind of expression that artists would immortalize in cathedral frescoes, the kind children would be taught to emulate when curtsying before queens. But behind it, her pulse beat a different rhythm. The memory of the apple still clung to the back of her throat like a phantom pit. The poison had done more than silence her breath. It had shattered something sacred, and in its place, something far older stirred. Not rage, not grief, something quieter, sharper, hungrier. Everyone at court, bless their oblivious hearts, believed the poisoned apple had done its worst and that the princess, once more, was perfectly safe. How naive, don't you think? But Snow White, she tasted bitterness with every swallow, a constant, metallic tang at the back of her throat, a brutal reminder that forgiveness is a luxury the dead simply can't afford. She didn't speak of it. She didn't need to. The bitterness lived in the stillness of her hands, the chill in her gaze, the silence she left behind when she exited a room. While the dwarves, blessed their simple hearts, toasted the engagement, and the king, ever the optimist, planned a lavish summer wedding, Snow White herself stared out at the cold, unyielding castle walls. She wasn't dreaming of bridal gowns or first dances. No, she was meticulously rehearsing a different kind of ceremony, one that promised no joy, only screaming, one that didn't end with "I do," but with "you'll pay." Her first decree, delivered with a smile that charmed every unsuspecting nobleman, was to summon the finest court mirror maker. "Craft for me," she'd instructed, her voice like spun sugar. "A private wing of reflective glass, so vast and clear that my stepmother, when she returns, can truly see how beautiful reconciliation looks." The court, predictably, thought it was a gesture of profound kindness, a testament to Snow White's forgiving nature. They wrote songs about it, ballads that fluttered through the castle halls like doves in spring. Snow White, however, had a different name for it: bait. And bait only works when it looks like a gift. Just 2 weeks later, a lone rider, bedecked in the royal livery, spurred his horse across the thorny, desolate hills leading to the exile's remote hunting lodge. The journey was long and arduous, the wind whipping at his cloak like a phantom hand, but his mission was clear. He dismounted, knelt before the formidable, albeit slightly withered queen, and presented a scroll. It was sealed with wax, a deliberate, unsettling detail, dyed the exact, chilling shade of her old poisoned apple. Inside, Snow White's elegant, almost childlike handwriting glimmered, each letter a silken trap. "Dearest mother," it began, deceptively tender, "your crimes, once so sharp, have miraculously withered in my heart like winter fruit. Come, let the spring of forgiveness begin its gentle thaw between us." The queen, oh, she laughed. A brittle, triumphant sound that echoed through the hunting lodge like the snap of dry bone. She was absolutely certain her stepdaughter was still the same naive child who'd bitten into a poisoned apple simply because a crone had offered it with a smile. Snow White, she reasoned, was weak, sentimental, predictable, a fool. Snow White greeted her at the castle gates, arms wide open. She kissed the queen's cheeks and whispered, "Welcome to the rest of your life." Trumpets flared. White petals drifted. Courtiers applauded, unaware they were clapping for a funeral. The queen stepped forward, regal in black, but something shifted. Behind her, the great oak doors slammed shut with a thunderous finality. Guards didn't move. Torches roared to life, lighting a corridor-lined floor-to-ceiling with impossibly clear mirrors. She paused, catching her reflection. Dozens of them. A smile touched her lips. Snow White, a step behind, folded her hands and murmured, "Beautiful, yes, but you always loved the surface. Let's look deeper." The first mirror rippled. Then it screamed. The queen gasped. Her reflection twisted, aged violently. Every insult she ever spoken about another woman's face now carved itself into her own. She stumbled back, breath ragged. Snow White's voice was a thread of silk dipped in ice. "Keep watching, mother dearest. We have centuries." The mirrors stirred. One showed the huntsman, pressing a beating heart. Another boiled over, oil she once brewed for an innocent serving girl. In the reflection, her own flesh blistered, raw and burning. The pain was real. Each reflection didn't just show her sins, they made her feel them. The queen fell to her knees, gasping, shaking. "Enough, Please, just kill me." Snow White stepped forward. She brushed damp hair from the queen's brow with terrifying gentleness. "Death," she whispered, "is a kindness I've decided you don't deserve." Snow White strode away, not looking back, and leaving her stepmother to her miserable fate. Outside the hall, utterly oblivious to the unspeakable horrors unfolding within, celebration music swelled, a joyful counterpoint to the queen's silent screams. The prince, handsome and earnest, practiced his vows, his heart filled with innocent anticipation. He rehearsed each phrase aloud, his voice buoyant, smiling between lines. He remained blissfully unaware that his bride-to-be's heart now beat in two distinct places at once. One in her own chest, steadily and calmly, and another, a dark, vengeful echo, inside the mirrored labyrinth, where it thumped in perverse rhythm with each new torment inflicted upon her stepmother. Snow White, of course, had told him the queen needed solitude, a quiet, sacred space to repent for her past transgressions. And he, sweet, uncomplicated soul that he was, believed her without question. Why wouldn't he? Love, in his experience, had never once asked him to look below the surface, to peer into the dark, twisted corners of a human soul. Inside the corridor, Snow White turned away from the broken figure of the queen, her gaze fixed on the sealed door ahead. The very last thing Snow White heard before the heavy door shut, with a resounding thud, was her stepmother's voice, cracking like old, brittle paint. "I only wanted to be the fairest," Snow White answered. "Now you will see nothing else." If you're enjoying this dark retelling, if it's left you deliciously unsettled, then you absolutely must tap that subscribe button for more tales that bite back. Stories like this aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to linger. In your dreams, in your mirrors, in the quiet moments when you wonder what shadows are whispering behind your reflection. So press subscribe, share this with a friend who thinks fairy tales are safe, and stay close, because Snow White's reflection is about to get even colder. Whispers began to curl through the castle like smoke. Nobles in velvet chambers leaned together, trading stories in hushed tones. They said the old queen, weary of power, had chosen a life of quiet prayer, that she had slipped away to a convent, leaving her stepdaughter the crown. It was a comforting tale, and so they believed it. Snow White never denied it. She let the lie grow, understanding that rumors are only mirrors that show people what they wish to see. At night, when the hall slept, she walked alone. Moonlight spilled through arrow-slit windows as she pressed her palm against a sealed oak door, the faint blue light beneath it glowing like a heartbeat. No cries came from within anymore, only a low hum, the sound of glass breathing to itself. Snow White would linger there, listening, her face calm, her eyes unblinking, before turning away. Each dawn she woke lighter, as though vengeance were a tonic. Each laugh at rehearsal sounded brighter, more convincing. The prince beamed, certain she was the happiest bride in all the realm. The dwarfs wiped tears from their eyes, unable to see the way her gaze darted to every mirror she passed. On their first anniversary, the new queen unveiled her gift to the kingdom, a throne room remade around a single towering mirror framed in polished black onyx. She called it a monument to truth, a chance for self-knowledge. One by one, nobles stepped before it. One saw his stolen coins stacked high. Another, a marriage bargained lovelessly. A knight relived the moment he abandoned comrades to die in the mud. The mirror was merciless. It showed not vanity but guilt, and what it revealed was more frightening than any curse. They left shaken, whispering of their queen's strange wisdom, of her dangerous grace. Snow White, seated tall on her throne, watched them with a serene smile. Her voice, when she spoke, was gentle, but her eyes were hard as onyx. She had learned that true power does not roar. True power drips like poison into a cup, sweetened with honey, sipped willingly, until it is far too late to stop. Inside the Hall of Mirrors, the queen no longer fought. Her body was frail, her mind frayed, yet she pressed her fingertips against the glass until they bled. The mirrors answered, showing her own reflection multiplied, whispering back in voices colder and older than her own. Snow White appeared in the glass one evening, her palm resting lightly against the surface. Her eyes glinted like cut diamonds, sharp and unyielding. The queen clawed at the barrier, nails splitting, desperate to reach her. Snow White only smiled, slow and predatory. Her voice echoed through the corridor. "I have become what you feared most. Forever starts today." Outside the castle, the legend grew. Merchants in crowded markets sold small hand mirrors engraved with the queen's serene profile. They claimed the trinkets could reveal vanity and deceit. Children sang rhymes in the streets, spinning in circles with bright, innocent faces. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, keep the wicked from us all." Snow White walked among them, cloaked in plain cloth, unseen by her subjects. She listened to the nursery song, her lips curving in the faintest smile. Every repetition dissolved another shard of poisoned apple, lodged deep in her chest. But even vengeance casts shadows. One winter twilight, a lady in waiting found her queen alone on a parapet, staring into a simple hand mirror. Frost crept across its surface, cracking the glass like a spider's web. Silent tears traced Snow White's cheeks, though her voice was calm when she said, "Even revenge, my dear, can reflect too sharply." By morning, she had buried the mirror deep within the rose garden. When spring came, roses bloomed crimson, darker than blood, their petals a silent testament to what had been laid beneath. Inside the Hall of Mirrors, the queen no longer screamed, no longer thrashed. Her body lay crumpled, frail and withered, her lips curved in the faintest smile. Instead of rage, she hummed, a lullaby she once sang to her looking-glass, back when beauty promised immortality, when power was hers for the taking. The mirrors, misty and endless, joined her song. Their reflections moved in eerie unison, a chorus of fractured selves, multiplying her voice until the corridor vibrated like a lullaby made of knives. One mirror clouded, then cleared, not with her face but with another. Snow White, aged in an instant, her skin lined with grief, her eyes heavy with ancient sorrow, a warning perhaps, or a prophecy of the cost of such a victory. The queen saw, and she laughed, a sound like cracked bells, hollow but strangely peaceful. "Fair still," she rasped to her million reflections, and they answered, as one, "We see nothing but you." Her eyes closed, her breath fell silent, and she accepted the closest thing to peace her prison of glass would ever allow. The story should end there, but every mirror has another side. A book lies open, its pages divided. On the left, a fairy tale we once knew, pure and innocent. On the right, its shadow twisted and grotesque. Around it rest the relics of other tales waiting their turn. A slipper of glass, a golden spindle, a rose trapped under glass. If this tale left you shivering, if it made you wonder how deep the darkness goes, then give that subscribe button a poisoned kiss. And tell me, which story should I twist next? Because I promise you, I'm just getting started.